Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Once again, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope that you have served yourself some refreshments and so you can bring the energy back to the room, inshallah. It is a great privilege to be here today to speak on a topic that is both timely and deeply personal. Mental health, support for Muslim women experiencing Islamophobia. As someone who has been actively involved in advocating for justice and human rights, I have seen firsthand the toll that Islamophobia takes on our communities, particularly on women. And we have quite a few reports of incidents happening in our own backyard. We are living in a time where Islamophobia is not just an abstract concept. It's a reality that manifests in our schools, workplaces, public spaces, and even online. For many Muslim women, the experience of wearing the hijab or simply being visibly Muslim can make them the target of hateful rhetoric, discrimination, or even violence. Recent incidents, as I mentioned, and as Amira as well mentioned, in Winnipeg and London, Ontario, serve as a painful reminders of how widespread and harmful this problem is. But today, I want to talk about how these experiences impact mental health and how we as a community, along with organizations like Foundation for a Path Forward and services like the Islamophobia Hotline, can offer support to those who are most affected. We often talk about Islamophobia as a social or political issue, but it's important to acknowledge its significant impact on mental health, particularly for Muslim women when you are constantly subjected to stares, comments, threats, or worse, it takes a toll on your well-being. And I would assume that every one of us have experienced at least once, you know, those stares, if not more than that. Research has shown that individuals who experience discriminations are more likely to suffer from mental health issues such as anxiety, depression, PTSD, and chronic stress. Muslim women who often bear the brunt of public Islamophobia due to their visible markers of faith are particularly vulnerable to these challenges. Many women I've spoken to describe feeling isolated, anxious, and hyper-aware of their surroundings where they are out in public. And that happens a lot to university students or women working in corporates. The fear of being targeted adds an extra layer of stress to everyday activities, whether it's going to work, running errands, or simply taking their children to the park. Sadly so. These experiences are compounded by the stigma surrounding mental health. In our communities, where seeking help is sometimes seen as a sign of weakness. As an advocate, I have been involved in Islamophobia awareness campaigns and other proactive efforts to confront hate and protect our communities. Organizations like Foundation for a Path Forward and other advocacy organizations are working tirelessly to address the root cause of Islamophobia through advocacy, education, and policy change. For example, we've worked to push for anti-Islamophobia legislation that aims to safeguard Muslim communities, hold perpetrators accountable, and ensure that the Canadian governments take stronger actions against hate crimes. We also collaborate with local leaders and organizations to organize community workshops aimed at raising awareness about Islamophobia and mental health. Education is key. One essential resource available to anyone experiencing Islamophobia, as Sister Amira mentioned as well, is the Islamophobia Hotline, a service providing free legal advice and support to those who have been targets of hate. This hotline, supported by organizations like the BC Civil Liberties Association and Gagan, offers critical guidance to those navigating incidents of discrimination or harassment. If you or anyone you know has experienced Islamophobia, I encourage you to contact the hotline. In this context, I encourage all of you to stay alert of action notices from advocacy organizations, sign petitions, join campaigns, and raise your voices when these opportunities arise. These alerts often serve as calls to action for critical legislative changes, public awareness, and other initiatives that can make a direct impact. By taking part, you help us apply pressure on the government to address systemic issues that allow Islamophobia to thrive and help build safer communities. Not allow Islamophobia to thrive. So, how can we as a community provide meaningful support? First, we must create a safe spaces for Muslim women to feel comfortable sharing their experiences and seeking help without judgment. These spaces can be formal, such as counseling services, support groups, or community centers. But they can also be informal, within our own homes, mosque, and friendship circles. For example, at Nisa Helpline, we provide a safe and anonymous environment where women can call in to discuss their struggles, whether they are dealing with Islamophobia, domestic abuse, or simply the stress of daily life. They know there is someone on the other end who will listen without judgment. But we need more of these services across our communities. Imam, community leaders, and families can also play a role in fostering open conversation. When we remove the stigma associated with seeking help, we allow women to feel that they can address their mental health needs without shame. It is also crucial that Muslim women have access to culturally competent mental health services. Many mainstream are not equipped to understand these unique challenges Muslim women face. For instance, a non-Muslim therapist may not fully grasp the emotional and spiritual significance of Islamophobia, or how faith can be both a source of strength and a target of discrimination. We need more Muslim mental health professionals, or at the very least, culturally sensitive services that can provide the right kind of support. This means recognizing that the trauma of Islamophobia is not just a personal issue, but one that intersects with faith, identity, and community. Organizations like Foundation for a Path Forward, we have Justice for All Canada, Nisa Helpline, and other organizations are working to bridge this gap, but we need to advocate for more funding and resources so that these services are widely available. As advocates, we also push for policies that recognize Islamophobia as a serious mental health concern and provide avenue for victims to seek justice and care. Another critical form of support is community-based intervention. We often talk about individual resilience, but resilience can only go so far. What Muslim women need is collective resilience, a network of support that includes not only family and friends, but also allies from broader communities. And this is why Foundation for a Path Forward and the BC Muslim Women Forum has focused on building coalitions with interfaith groups, human rights organizations, and local community to address Islamophobia in a holistic way. When people from different walks of life stand up against hate, they create a supportive network that makes Muslim women feel less isolated and more empowered. Lastly, I want to touch on the role of faith in mental health. For many Muslim women, faith is a source of resilience and comfort in the face of adversity. When you are experiencing Islamophobia, turning to your faith can offer both a spiritual and emotional healing. However, it's also important to balance with practical mental health solutions. In Islam, we are taught the importance of both dua, which is prayer, and supplications to God, more exactly, and taking action. Seeking professional help, reaching out to support networks, and advocating for oneself are not acts of weakness. It is not, but facts of strength and responsibility. Our faith encourages us to care for our physical and mental well-being. And part of that care is addressing the very real impact that hate speech or Islamophobia has on our minds and on our hearts. Before I wrap up, I just want to emphasize that supporting the mental health of Muslim women is not something that only professionals need to handle. It's something we all need to be part of. Whether you're a community leader, a family member, or just a friend, we all have a role to play in creating safe spaces, reducing stigma, and being there for each other. I also encourage you to watch for action alerts from organizations and take action by signing petition, sharing information, and getting involved. These small steps can create a ripple effect that leads to real, lasting change in our communities. Let's ensure that women in our communities are not just surviving, but thriving. Let's advocate for better access to mental health services, work together to push back against Islamophobia, and create more inclusive society where Muslim women can live without fear, without discrimination, and without mental anguish. And I would request for you, if you want to, today is the first program of the BC Muslim Women Forum, and we will need more leaders, more women to come forward and support this program, so together we can take it further and create more impact and make positive difference. So leave your name and your information at the desk behind, at the table behind, so we can get in touch with you and you can join the BC Muslim Forum team, and together we can stand stronger and create positive impacts and better future for our society. Thank you. Jazakumullahu khairan.